Having gone through a series of coup d'etat and changes in political leadership, little did the people of Burkina Faso know that in September 2022, a certain 37-year-old Ibrahim Traoré will seize power from interim president Paul-Henri Sadaugo Damiba to become the hero of his people through quality leadership. But why is Ibrahim Traoré's beautiful reign seen as a challenge to the Western interest? To the historians of African politics, it is not surprising at all. The Western world has maintained a sustained effort to rid Africa of quality leadership. The first president of the Republic of Ghana, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, said, and I quote, "Neocolonialism is also the worst form of imperialism." As if he was prophesying, years after Africa gained political independence, most African states have remained in economic slavery. The Western world has made a conscious and a sustained effort to eliminate all the quality African leaders. It started with the first president of the Republic of Ghana, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. February 24, 1966 is regarded by many Ghanaians as a Waterloo in the history of Ghana, and Ghanaians would not like it to be mentioned so as to rekindle old wounds, considering the hardships the country went through from that period until accepting democratic rule in the early 1990s. On that fateful day, the first president of the Republic of Ghana was overthrown in a military coup d'etat whilst he was on a peacemaking mission in Vietnam. Most Ghanaians and Africans continue to point accusing fingers at the United States of America for this unfortunate incident that brought not only the newly born nation to the brink of collapse, but also brought the dream of a united Africa into jeopardy. Just around the time that Dr. Nkrumah was being hunted, another brilliant African was under siege in the Democratic Republic of Congo. On June 30, 1960, when DR Congo won its independence, Patrice Lumumba instantly became the target of the Western world. Lumumba was the most important politician in the country at the time, and the one whom the Belgians were most concerned about. Lumumba's remarks on the day of handing over were clearly a direct reply to King Boudin of Belgium. He took through the daily humiliations of life for black Africans in the Belgian Congo and recalled the violence visited upon his people. And then, his voice rising, he told his countrymen, "We, who suffered in our bodies and hearts from colonialist oppression, we say to you out loud, from now on, all that is over." Little did Patrice Lumumba know that his colonial masters saw his statement as an affront. 7 months later, Patrice Lumumba was murdered, brought down by a combination of Congolese politicians and Belgian advisors, with the tacit support of the United States and malign neglect of the United Nations. The war against brilliant African leaders went on unabated. In the late 1980s, Burkina Faso had another brilliant leader in Captain Thomas Sankara. Sankara's revolutionary programs and reforms for African self-reliance made him an icon to many of Africa's poverty-stricken nations. And the president remained popular with substantial majority of his country's citizens as well as those outside Burkina Faso. Some of his policies alienated elements of the former ruling class, including tribal leaders and the government of France and its ally, Ivory Coast. On October 15, 1987, Thomas Sankara was assassinated by troops led by Blaise Compaoré, who assumed leadership of the country shortly thereafter. Compaoré retained power until the 2014 Burkina Faso uprising. In 2021, he was formally charged with and found guilty for the murder of Thomas Sankara by a military tribunal. Of course, Kampuari couldn't have achieved that evil feat without the assistance of the Western world. Between 2010 and 2011, the attention of the Western world was turned on the Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. In August 2011, as Libya's rebels and NATO jet began an assault on Tripoli, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi delivered a speech calling on his supporters to defend the country. Traoré's actions, particularly his alliance with Russia, his nationalization of mining assets, and his strong anti-imperial rhetoric are seen as a challenge to Western interests and the traditional influence of France in the region. Traoré's rhetoric, which accuses Western powers of exploiting Burkina Faso and attempting to keep the nation in a state of slavery, is seen as a direct attack on Western influence and a challenge to the status quo. Thank goodness, the people of Burkina Faso have rallied support for their youthful leader Ibrahim Traoré. But the question remains, how sustainable will this effort be? Will the Western world triumph this time around too? Or Africa will for once rise to defend its own? Time will tell.